Custom route using Garmin BaseCamp. I got some complaints in the last video I did on BaseCamp that some people said I was a big old grump. Well, I will try to be not so much grump in this one. Try being the operative word here. So, okay, now, first of all, I'm going to say that there are several ways to do custom routes. This is not the only way to do it. There is the trip planner. But what I prefer to do is just do file new route, to do it that way. That is the way I'm going to show. But before we do, it is important to note two things. First, to go to edit and then options and then activity profile. And you will notice here, Garmin gives you a whole bunch of default profiles. These are all editable. You can also add your own if you want to, or just edit an existing one. It's like, okay, well, what's the difference between them? If you look at driving, for example, on the General tab, this is what it's going to show you, which is everything. If you can go to reset, and it will just reset to default. The routing is the more important of the two, because it gives you the preference, road avoidances, feature avoidances, and such. Now, if I change this, watch over here. Road type avoidances, interstates, major highway. It only avoids unpaved roads when having the driving profile selected. But if I go to motorcycling, now it avoids the interstates and major highways. Remember, these can all be edited, and you can also create your own if you wish, but you should look at this profile first. If there's always things you specifically want to avoid, or not avoid, then you should go and edit the profile first. I'm just going to keep the one that Garmin gave me here, the default one for driving. Cancel that. And the other thing is, again, to go to edit, options, and then measurement, and then down to position. You have a whole bunch of ways to show coordinate data. The one that is easiest to use, specifically because you can copy and paste out of Google Maps or Bing Maps, is lat/lon hdd point dddd. This is decimal coordinates, because, let me just bring up Google Maps here. If I just zoom in anywhere, this is the desktop version, of course, and I just right click, that is the coordinate data I am given. Now, while true, if I just paste that in here, you will get degrees, minutes, seconds. You can get it that way. It is just easier if you go with decimal, because it saves a lot of clicks. You just go in here, right click, left click the coordinate, copy the clipboard. That matters. And you'll see why in a moment. Let me zoom this out. Alright. Back over to BaseCamp. So again, DDD, latitude/longitude, this one. Okay. Right. So those two things out of the way first. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select 3 different points, and then I'm going to create a custom route. And I'll just show you what to do from there. So let's go back to Google Maps. I'm going to go over to Frisco and go to the National Video Game Museum, because that's a cool place. And let's just go to the satellite view. Yep. Okay. We'll go right to the front of the building here. And I'm going to right click and left click the coordinate data. Copy the clipboard. Now I'm going to go back over to BaseCamp. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is right click anywhere on the map. Actually, I'll do it this way. File, new, waypoint. Make it easy. Oh, it didn't do it? Oh, it changes the mouse. Okay, okay. I'll do it my other way. Right click, left click, new waypoint. Okay, and it just creates a waypoint. Click in the bubble, and I'm just going to call this one start. I'm also going to give it an icon that is more easily visible to my eyes. Nice bright orange. And here is where having those decimals, remember it's in the clipboard. This is where having those decimal coordinates matters. So I'm going to delete this and then right click and paste. It's a big number, and then I press enter. Okay. Let me just resize this and double click. Actually, I'll get rid of this. Double click that. Okay. And that is exactly where I was over here. Nice. Now, bear in mind before continuing, this is an unlisted data. If you want to separate out your routes, your trips, and so on and so forth, I might as well show that. File, new, list. And I'll just call this one trip 1. And I'll do it again. File, new, list, trip 2. So if I go to my collection here, because by default it will, if this is selected, it will dump it into my collection. I can take this, right click, left click, cut, click inside trip 1, right click, paste. Now what happens here is that in my collection all your waypoints show. In trip 1, that's where I just pasted it, but it will not show in trip 2 because it has been assigned to the list of trip 1. And I'll just leave that there, just in case you want to separate out your stuff. That's the way to do it. Oh, this little guy right here, I should mention this just in case you accidentally click it, because that's usually what happens. You click it and, oh no. Oh, what happened? Well, what happened here is a swap between the map and this. Just click it again, and it goes back to the way it was. It looks like something where you can just resize, which you can. But when you click it, like, oh no. Oh, that's okay. You can just click it again, get back to the way it was. Not a big deal. And let me just zoom this out. All right. So let's go and pick the middle point. So go back to the map view. Now, can you get this information out of BaseCamp alone? You can. I find it easier just to go to Google Maps to get this stuff. Okay, we will go to this park. Here's a good spot. It's a golf club. Sounds kind of nice. Run over to satellite view. Okay, yep, we'll go to a parking lot. Actually, I'll go right up to this house right here. Okay. Right click, left click. I've got my coordinate. Back to BaseCamp. Right click, new waypoint. Click the bubble. And I'll call that my middle of my trip. I will give it another icon. I'll give it a purple one, just so I know the differences, just from visual color point of view. Click in here, delete that, right click, paste, enter. Close, and we'll double click. Yep, okay. There's the second part. Close that, and now I will go get back to the map view. Alright, zoom back, zoom back, zoom back. And I'll go over to this side across the pond. Oakland. Here we go. Yeah, we'll go right down here. Satellite view. Yeah, right about here. Right click, left click, get my coordinate, copy the clipboard, back into BaseCamp. Right click, left click, new waypoint, click, rename, call that end, and I'll give that one a green circle. click in this field to position, delete, right click, paste, enter. Close and double click in the list, and yep. Okay, good. Now we're going to put this all into a custom route. So now when I zoom back on the map, there's my start, there's my middle, there's my end. Alright, so File, New, Route. Now you can do route using selected waypoints. I prefer just to do route and do manual additions here. Route. Alright. This is where the activity profile comes into play. By default, it will say hiking. I'm going to select driving. And when it says drag start point here, I don't think it means from the map to here. It's from your list to here. You can also just search it. So if I click in here and I just typed, now it's called start. So if I type start, yes, it will find it because that is in the list. Or, let me just X that out. I can take this and drag it in here. There we go. Now for the time being, I'm just going to do start to end and click. I'll get to the middle part in a second. Go. Okay. Let me just close this out. Oop, hold on. I clicked by mistake. There we go. Click the hand. Okay. So there's the trip. Start to end. Now if I right click and get the playback and change this to 100 and just hit play, watch for a big red arrow on the map. There it goes. It's simulating my route. Very good. Now if I double click this over here, okay, now I want to add in the middle part. Insert waypoint. Middle, insert, and then, but it put it at the end, so I have to click it and then move it up one. So start, middle, end, and recalculate. All right, there we go. Now, I'm going to move this over a little bit. Watch over here specifically. Now, if I change the profile to be motorcycling, it will recalculate. See how it changed everything? They did it on purpose because the motorcycle profile avoids certain things that the driving one does not. So I'll change that back to driving. Back to the way it was. Alright. And that looks pretty good. And I can look at all the route directions here. So there's where the start the point, there's where the middle point, and there's the end point. It tells me the names of the roads and such. Good. And again, I can go change my profile here in the route options. I can just outright customize the route and ignore the activity profile completely. And if you've used a Garmin Nuvia or Drive Smart, these will look very familiar to you. But here's the interesting part, and this is part of what makes BaseCamp cool. You can avoid things like residential roads. Like, don't take any residential roads. There are a couple things more you can avoid here that you cannot, or just cannot set the option for in the Drive Smart, which is nice. And also, these used to be in the old Street Pilot series, where you can say, what type of transportation method am I using? And this does affect how it routes. So for example, if you were choosing a bus, yes, it would avoid all residential roads. If you were choosing an RV, it would only select roads that RVs can travel on, where they can fit, and so on and so forth. So, neat. You can do that. But I'm just going to go with the activity profile and just, okay, driving. That's good. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and play it again and see where it goes. So it should go here, and then turn around, and then go down this way. We'll see if it does that. Yep, that's exactly what it did. Let's speed that up a bit. Oh, too fast, too fast. Yikes. But fortunately, I can just play. Yeah, I can drag it along here. There we go. And then it's going, excuse me, to the end. Good. And stop. There it is. Okie dokie. So that is a way. Now this is saved. You don't have to click File Save or anything. This is at this point saved. Good. Now the only advantage I can see, and I'll end on this, with the trip planner, if you decided to use this, I might as well show it. Okay, trip planner, getting started. I know the dates. I'm not going to mess with that. Now, I like the fact that you can choose round trip as a default option, which is nice. So if I did the same exact trip, okay, continue, and click this, I'll choose driving. This is already something I don't like about it, is that because of this window, it hides all my list of my stuff. So, but I remember it, so I'll just type start. And it'll find it. Start. Okay, from there to middle. Oh, it didn't do it. Okay. I guess it's just start to end here. Okay, we'll do start to end. Start trip. Calculating a bunch of stuff. Okay. And we'll click exit. Now this is different. So we have our trip that we had in here. This is the one we made. This is the one that it just made from the trip planner. And if I go to edit this guy, yeah, start to end to start. That's the round trip right there. But can I add in? Yeah. I can't add it says insert waypoint, but I can't seem to add it. Maybe I have to copy it in. Let's try that. Copy this into here. Here, this is the organized. No, I don't want to do that. I'm not too familiarized with this feature because every time I try to use the trip planner, I always run into a little bit of an issue like this. I'm trying not to be a grump. Trying not to be a grump. I just don't like it. Whereas with this guy, with the regular, I could just add in waypoints at whim, and it's not an issue. But with this guy, this trip planner, yes, there are more options for setting certain days you want to go, and it's more detailed. But when I go and I try here to, I may have to add it as a hub. Okay, back to driving. From, we'll try that, we'll see what happens. Middle. Add to trip. Okay. That might have done it. I'm sorry, I'm learning with you. This is something I have not tried. Okay, it's in there now. That's good. Can I add it in there now? I can. Okay. Oh, I guess I had to add it as a hub. Insert. Move that one up. And recalculate. I guess I have to mess with them. Okay, you can do it. It's just a little bit weird. I just find this one, the regular, just creating a route a lot more straightforward. Just to be able to, just a moment here. Doing the regular just route seems a little more straightforward. Okay, so let me just get... Alright. The last thing I'll show is like... Some of you may wonder, well, can't I just draw on the map directly? Well, yes, you can, in fact, do that. Let me right-click and get rid of the playback so I have more here. Okay. And we'll resize this so you can see more map. And I will go over here. We'll go to Denton. Okay, we'll make it real simple. Here, Denton to Lincoln Park. So I will just right-click, begin route. Now at this point, I can just draw a line and left-click, and it will, ba-boom. Let me just right-click to get out of that. Okay, now it did bring this up. Sorry, it landed off the screen, but it did show this part. So if I double-click this now, by default it showed hiking. Well, we'll change it to driving. Okay, yeah, now it's taking the regular roads. And I'll just recalculate just to be sure. Okay. And I'll click on the hand so I can drag the map. There we go. So that was a really quick way to do it. And if I wanted to do multiple points like that, I totally can. So I will go ahead and delete this. And we'll do it again. But this time I'll go from Denton to Aubrey to Lincoln Park. So I will go ahead and right-click, begin route. Alright. And left-click on Aubrey. And then left-click on Lincoln Park. And then right-click to finish. Close. Double-click this. Change this over to driving. There we go. And click on the hand so I can drag and pan. So here to here to here. Arguably the fastest way to do it. But you really have to know on the map where you are. That's the rub. So if you have a very good idea of where you want to be, without having to go to Google Maps and find things like this way, sure, you can do it this way too. It's the fastest, but I would argue the least accurate. I think it's better when you actually plot your own points first so you know exactly where you're going to end up by direct coordinate. Take some experimentation, that's for sure. But, so, well, there you go. That's basic, I guess. Basic way of showing how to do custom routes in BaseCamp.